Good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon.
The last time we were together, we talked about the Industrial Revolution, and we talked about two things: child labor and transportation, how it's spurred the economy at the time. Now, let's just go back and review before we move on to our next topic, our concept that we had. What were we talking about with child labor? Drew, what was one of the big advantages for a family if they had a child that went out to work?
Extra income.
Extra income for the family, right? So what does that do for the family's economic as far as their buying power?
Increases it.
So it gives them more leverage to go buy products and goods that are out there. What else does it help for a child who's 7 years old that goes to learn how to make glass or do other things out there? What does it actually help them do long term for their Elizabeth?
Gives them more of a skill set.
So they have a trade that they could learn. Okay. So two good things that come out of child labor, but what's the downside? What happens to a child during the daytime when they need to go to work? What are they doing, Kyle?
They're not going to school.
They're not going to school, so they're not getting educated. So all of a sudden we have a standard of living that might be increased one family, but the long-term health of this child is not diminished as far as any scholastic endeavor. So also the one thing about child labor is we don't have any safety and welfare for them. Who cares about them? Because we're putting them to work. Does anybody have a younger brother or sister? Drew?
Yes.
Would you rather them go work so you didn't have to?
Not really, no.
Well, depends on how much you like your brother or sister, I guess. Now the other part that we, just a quick review, was about transportation. Now transportation, as we alluded to before, showed that, now Sandy, what happens with transportation as far as the market goes? Now let's say you were growing wheat. Now you provide enough for your whole family, but you had a little extra. Now what does transportation do for you as far as the products that you grow on your own or you make in your house now that you have extra?
It allows me to sell them in the areas where we don't have a surplus of.
So now we have some extra income. So a few things that, now the Industrial Revolution is allowing us a few things to help. So let's, a friend of mine was asking me, what does revolution really mean? Now, Elizabeth, what comes to mind when you think revolution?
A swift change.
Swift change, very nice. Kyle, what's revolution in your mind?
It's like a change against the norm.
Okay, so we have
So
one,
it's- Yeah, like something that's already in place, if you're changing it to make things better.
kind of like an overhaul in a way, right?
Yeah.
Drew, what do you think about revolution?
I think it's kind of based off what they said, kind of taking out the old and bringing in new, fresh ideas that really haven't been tested yet.
Sometimes out with the old way of doing things. Very nice. And Sandy, what do you think about revolution?
Most the same. In some cases, I think that it's, there's some rebellion involved, but not necessarily talking about industry.
Kind of like generations today where we have some old style of thinking and there's some new style of thinking. Let's keep that in mind when we're going to go into our next part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a few things here and we're going to discuss. Now, what I'm going to do is have some examples and non-examples. And we're going to get to the concept. We're going to meet that bridge here in a little bit, but not at first. I'm going to write a few things and we're going to discuss. Elizabeth, I know we did our prior reading on a few things. Do you remember about what do you remember about the flying shuttle?
It helps in textile manufacturing.
Some textiles. Okay, very nice. And as far as the flying shuttle, John Kay was the inventor, and that was in 1733, so that was quite some time ago. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one I'm going to put here for you. I'm going to do a non-example. Airplane. Now, Kyle, who were the inventors of the airplane? Or at least the first in flight?
The Wright brothers.
The Wright brothers. Now, the Wright brothers, at the time, did it seem like it was an idea that we could really fly? Before that happened,
Not really.
people thought about it, but they didn't know how to do it right. Okay. Let's go to the next one.
Spinning Jenny.
Drew, do you know? Tell me what you know about the spinning jenny.
Being completely honest with you, I don't know much about it at all.
Well, I would tell you that somebody know that's their name, but actually it was the inventor, that was their daughter's name. It was something used in textiles once again, but it was to improve production and capacity. Okay. And actually it was used in production of wool. Okay. Now let's go a little further here. And I'm gonna put something over here. And we'll keep in mind that we're trying to see what we're going to bridge here as far as our ideas. Okay. Let's see. Automobile. Now, obviously, the automobile is something that we use every day. Who in here has their own automobile? Okay, so most everybody. As far as the automobile, what do you remember about the automobile as far as when it first became into production? Who was an innovator as far as building assembly line and getting it mass produced?
Henry Ford?
Henry Ford, right? So he's somebody that really gave some innovation to the automobile. Okay. We're going to step it up a little bit. Telecommunications arena. Telegraph. Now, Kyle, do you know who, well, not really the inventor of the telegraph, but who really made an innovation for the telegraph?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Okay. In the back row here.
I don't know.
Okay. Does anybody know how the telegraph was used? How do you communicate through the telegraph?
Morse code.
Morse code. So Samuel Morse decided to work on his innovation to communicate from point A to point B through long distance lines. Okay. All right. Now, here's one for you. Who uses the text message? Anybody out there? Okay. Now, for text messaging, how long does it take for you to get your message from A to B?
2 seconds.
A few seconds. How much does it cost?
Not much at all.
How many people have text messaging, would you say? As far as in your age group? Everybody does, right? Okay, very good. And let's go a little further here. Now, Elizabeth, I know you did a report on the steamboat. Who's the innovator of the steamboat?
Robert Fulton.
Robert Fulton. All right, very nice. Now, the steamboat was one of those modes of transportation we talked about earlier. And the steamboat helps swiftly move things along so you can use canals, lakes, rivers, streams, oceans to get even from the United States to Great Britain in a shorter period of time. I'm going to put here for non-examples. Speedboat. The speedboat's obviously a racing boat that's well, fairly current in its use. So what do you, we have these examples, these non-examples. Now what, based on the topic and where we're looking at as far as the unit we're prepared right here, what would you say, Drew, about the examples that's different from the non-examples?
It seems like the examples are inventions in the 18th and 19th centuries that are kind of like precursors to the modern technologies we have today, and non-example.
Very nice. So the examples that we have here are inventions and innovations of the Industrial Revolution. Well, these are, would you call them innovations that come from these? Okay, very nice. Okay. So as far as the examples and non-examples, you can see that the relationship between, I think, the best. Well, what would you say would be the best out of all these to any non-examples? You say telegraph to text messaging. You can see it's come full circle, right? Now, I'm going to show you a video very quickly here. And this is going to lead us into our group assignment. So what I want you guys to do is get into your groups. Very nice. And I want you, after we're done watching the video, I'll explain what our assignment's going to be. Here we go.
Alright, now look, it's the 18th century, and things just haven't changed much. But listen to this real quick. With so many problems in the world today, it's kinda hard FARMB, okay? No time to play sports or sit back. No time to watch
could better than I could have, not much of a rapper. But here's our assignment. We're gonna get in our groups and we're gonna work on, I'm gonna assign inventions or innovations to each group.